thought I'd go old school tonight for you guys. Sarah Disney here, and we're going to talk about Totino's Pizza Rolls and Mountain Dew Kickstart, bringing you the absolute obliteration of John Cena, otherwise known as SummerSlam 2014. So, we're going to talk about the pay-per-view that actually just ended. I'll shoot with you guys, legitimately, it just ended, and this video will be coming out probably around 12:30-ish on Monday morning, which means 30 days until I'm home again. How awesome is that? Which means the next time I work again, I'll be in the 20s. So awesome. Anyway, let's talk about SummerSlam. There are a lot of interesting things that came out of it. A lot of things that we expected. Some things we didn't expect, and some things we never could expect. So let's talk about the event, shall we? Now, show started off with the kickoff match. And the kickoff match this time was Cesaro against Rob Van Dam. Now, real quick, I will state that I said on yesterday's video, the NXT and SmackDown recap, that I thought this would be where Cesaro started to kick it back into high gear. He goes through Van Dam, mows him over, and he moves on to bigger and better things, leading to eventually him and his big babyface turn. Well, he didn't mow over Van Dam. And Van Dam probably will be leaving the company soon. So, yeah, there's always that. I don't think Rob Van Dam will be with the company by the end of the year. Probably leaving the company before the Survivor Series, if I had to guess. I don't know that for a fact. I'm guessing on this. So, yeah, this made a lot of sense. And I will state right now that Cesaro losing to Rob Van Dam actually, in essence, is starting to build sympathy for him. And the more he loses, eventually the fans are going to start getting on his side, and they're going to be the ones that turn him babyface once again, like they did before in the Real Americans. And look how that turned out. This time, it's just going to be him and him alone. He's not going to have anybody else. Not going to have Coulter in his corner, and he's not going to have Jack Swagger as his tag team partner. No, he's going to be by himself, and lose enough, the crowd's actually going to start to cheer for him, and then the crowd is going to be the ones to force creative to turn Cesaro into a babyface, which is exactly what's going to happen eventually. Let's talk about this match, shall we? I call Rob Van Dam Mr. Going Through the Motions a whole lot. But when Van Dam is on, Van Dam still can go. And let's talk about this match, shall we? So you pick it up from the commercial break, since of course we're on the WWE Network, and we're on the WWE app, and we're also on YouTube, broadcasting this kickoff, this free kickoff 30 minutes before SummerSlam started. So he's got the chin lock applied, just like the go-to move right before commercial break, right after you come back. Usually there's a chin lock applied in a match. That's just how it works. So he gets back to the ropes, and Van Dam leapfrogs over. Cesaro catches him, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and 1-2 and a kick out. And he mocks Van Dam with a somersault into a vicious double boot stomp. So basically, Rolling Thunder, but instead of the senton, he hits him with a double boot stomp instead. So, Rolling Lightning, maybe? We'll go with that. Gets a 2 off of that. So he goes back to the chin lock, and he turns it into the Swiss Sleeper quickly, and Van Dam elbows his way out and ducks his clothesline. Van Dam on the offense. Clothesline, and a spinning heel kick is ducked, and of course you duck the spin kick, the right one doesn't get you, the left one will, and the left one this time allowed for a body scissors roll up, 1-2 and a kick out, charges in, and of course he gets kicked in the face, just like I predicted would happen, and instead of going up top for the 5-star, he goes for the split-legged moonsault, which only gets a 2 count. So he super kicks him off the ring apron, and then he leaps over the top rope and moonsaults Cesaro off the ring apron to the floor. He tosses him in, goes up top, and he gets stopped from a Swiss uppercut. Cesaro climbs up, goes for the superplex, gets knocked off. Cesaro again stops Van Dam. Swiss uppercut one more time. So he climbs up again, and going for a superplex, gets knocked off. So Van Dam is going up top again. He's going to try to go for the 5-star, and of course, gets caught again. Swiss uppercut, and he climbs up superplex, and gets this time shoved off. So he goes for the flying body press, and he walks right into the Swiss uppercut. 1-2, Van Dam kicks out. He sets up the Gotch-style neutralizer. Van Dam backdrops out of it. Cesaro lands on his feet, comes off the ropes, and nails a vicious boot off the ropes. 1-2, Van Dam kicks out. So he lands on his feet, He catches the boot, step over spin kick, and that connects. He goes up top, 5-star frog splash, which was halfway across the ring. Tremendous ability for Van Dam to hit it all the way across the ring, proving he still can go. And he gets the 3 count on that one. Rob Van Dam defeats Cesaro to win the first match officially on the SummerSlam card, even though it was the kickoff match. Good way to start off the show. Not completely understanding why Van Dam won, but the thing I talked about before we started recapping this match about building sympathy for Cesaro and his losses, yeah, that's probably exactly why that happened. So, when the actual show begins, here comes Hulk Hogan out. Of course, he's going to start out the event, and he says, what better way to kick off the show than with Hollywood Hogan? And of course, he's not wearing black and white, even though I know you guys will say that Hollywood Hogan still wore the red and yellow at one point. But when you think Hollywood Hogan, you think painted on beard and the black and white of the NWO. And then he shills the WWE Network blatantly, and the fans pop, because he's Hulk Hogan, and he can do no wrong. I'm sorry, Will, he can do no wrong. We get our first match of the evening. Intercontinental title on the line. The Miz defending against the show-off Dolph Ziggler. Now, this is the Battle of Hollywood. One California, one Florida. And legitimate battle for Cleveland, because both Miz and Dolph are from the Cleveland area. So, this match was going to be something that was going to be trying to steal the show, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So the Miz comes out. He's wearing this really awkward white robe. Kind of like something that maybe the Highlander would wear, or potentially there you go. He's wearing something that Raiden would wear. I mean, he's Johnny Cage, he's not Raiden, so I mean, he's got to figure out which Mortal Kombat character he wants to be. But if Miz starts getting DQ'd for punching someone in the nuts, I mean, that's a way to keep a championship. Kudos to WNS Podcast for coming up with that analogy. I'm going to give you guys complete credit on that one. So, the Miz gets on the mic, of course, and he says he's a real-life movie star, not a CG movie star. It's not about turtles, or it's not about, like, Transformers, or it's not about apes. Those are all CG. I'm a real-life, in-your-face movie star. And then he says that it's not about Drax the Destroyer or Hercules. I'm better than both of them. Basically saying he's better than The Rock and Batista. That's funny. And I'm a Miz fan, so there you go. And don't forget, he wouldn't be The Miz if it wasn't for The Rock. So yes, it makes perfect sense that would happen. So, Dolph Ziggler comes out, and something that I don't think anyone on Twitter that I'm aware of spotted. Dolph was wearing orange sunglasses. And yes, that would be pretty much the reason why I'm wearing what I'm wearing right now. Yes, on Dolph's head, on the top of his head, at least I thought that's what it was, and I'm pretty sure it was, because if I remember correctly, his sunglasses that they sold on WWE Shop were pink with the bluish-green writing, kind of like the t-shirt I have. But someone else wore some very familiar orange sunglasses. So yeah, I want to throw another shout-out as well to someone who was not at the show tonight. And Dolph did exactly the same thing, putting over his broski with very familiar orange sunglasses. So nice shout out from Dolph, given the fact that he did work a match on, I believe it was SmackDown a while back, and it was one of those bunkhouse brawl matches that he did, I believe, with Alberto Del Rio. I don't recall off the top of my head. It might have been Damian Sandow. Either Sandow or Del Rio. I think it was Sandow, actually, the more I think about it. And he actually wore a Zack Ryder t-shirt underneath his gear, so that was pretty awesome. And of course, the guy that was working him tore it off immediately. Well, he wore the orange sunglasses to the ring for his entrance, and he didn't throw up the LI or hit the Rough Rider or anything like that, which he's done on house shows previously. He just wore the orange broski sunglasses. So, yes, I'm glad I noticed that, because I don't think many people did. And if you did, you didn't tweet about it, because I didn't read about anybody saying this on Twitter. So, we pick it up midway through the match, and Ziggler teases the super kick, and of course, this makes The Miz turn into Rick Martel, and he clutches his face, and he bombs out. He's like, no, it's not going to happen. And he ends up getting rolled up 1-2 and a kick out, goes for the skull-crushing finale on Ziggler, gets countered, double leg, goes for the figure 4, Dolph kicks him off, a big right hand, super kick, does connect, 1-2, and Miz kicks out. So Miz rolls to the floor to break any momentum that Dolph has, grabs the championship, and he goes to leave. Well, he gets around the ring to where he's right in front of the entrance ramp, and he gets stopped by Ziggler with a baseball slide dropkick, tossed in, and he goes to climb back in, and Miz smartly kicks the middle rope, and of course rams it into the groin of Dolph. Double leg, goes for the figure four, and Dolph's gonna tap. He doesn't give up, but his shoulders are down for the canvas 1-2, and of course Dolph throws the shoulder up, and he's still in the figure four, but did not get pinned there. So Dolph finally makes it to the ropes. And Miz holds it and holds it and holds it, but it breaks before 5, of course. So he goes for a figure four again. He gets kicked off. Name Dropper connects somewhat, but he kind of scrunched himself up so he didn't take all the brunt of it, and ends up hitting Dolph with a skull-crushing finale. 1-2, and Dolph kicks out. Crowd's really buying this finishing sequence. It's actually a really good back-and-forth match. So Miz goes for his charging boot off the ropes when the person's in a seated position, kind of a shining black basically is what it is. And Ziggler ducks out of it, hits the zigzag, 1, 2, 3, and we have a brand new Intercontinental Champion. So Dolph Ziggler is the new WWE Intercontinental Champion to start off SummerSlam, and once again, I am already on the losing end of my predictions. Predictions weren't very good, so yeah, if you after the end of the NXT SmackDown video, once I stop talking about SmackDown, just turn it off. Don't listen to my predictions. They were all pretty bogus. Didn't like them. But yeah, let's talk about that. Dolph and the Miz put on a good match. Good back and forth match. Ziggler was a little bit toned down in his speed in this match. Still just as bing bang boom pinballing as always, but he seemed to slow down a bit. Obviously, when he went to the charge and usually goes to the 10 punch and the reverse neck breaker, he only went from the charge to a splash and the reverse neck breaker. Didn't go for the 10 punch this time. But he still did the duck, the clothesline, hooking clothesline thing he normally does. So, yeah, I enjoyed this match. A good way to kick off the show. And 2 big babyface wins to start off the show. If only the fans knew right then and there that they were going to get another face winning for a long time. So, yes, this was a very heel-heavy winning night for WWE on SummerSlam. So, Bree's in the back, and she's talking about how when she was in jail, she did a lot of reflecting. And she's reflecting basically on what Stephanie has done to Daniel Bryan, and what she's done to her sister Nikki, and what she's done to the WWE Universe and other WWE superstars. Basically, she also, of course, paid Megan Miller to believe that to tell the entire world that she had a worked adulterous relationship with Daniel Bryan. She's going to take everything out on that she-beast, and that's what's best for business. Actually, Brie, a lot of people give her crap about her acting abilities. Brie actually brought it here. I didn't mean to make that work with so much alliteration, but still, Brie actually made it work, and I actually did not mind that promo, which I really can't say that very much for Brie. Sorry. So our next match was our Divas Championship match, and it was AJ Lee defending against Paige. And I'll tell you what, the match they had at Battleground, definitely not what either of them are capable of. This match had to deliver, and it actually did, but it was a lot shorter than it was supposed to be. There was a list that was let out that listed the supposed match times for the card tonight. And most of them were way off. This match especially. Because I'm glad I started writing when I did. Because if I didn't, I was going to be in the middle of what pretty much happens to me when I think that a match is going to go a little bit longer than it is. I think, oh, it's going to go to commercial break. I can wait till after the commercial break, come back, chin lock, fight out of it, and then I'll continue from there. But no, this is one of those situations like on Raw sometimes when I'm doing recaps and we go to a 3-minute match that I'm not ready for, and then I have to scramble to try to figure out what the finish was, set up for the finish and everything, and I'm not able to really talk about the match as much as I'd like to. This was one of those matches. It was a lot shorter than I thought it could have been, but it was very aggressive. It worked very well, and there's 2 things you can say about this match. Number 1, the feud can easily continue and go to Night of Champions, which I believe it will. Some sort of a stipulation match. I remember calling there should be a first blood match between these two, and in the Attitude Era, that would probably work. But here, maybe just a no-holds-barred match, false count anywhere match, a hardcore match. Something with stipulation for Night of Champions. Something, anything, for AJ to get her heat back. But yes, I actually really wanted Paige to win this match because I was interested to see what they would do with this. Given the fact that there is only... Okay, let's look at the division right now. Who are your faces in the division? Well, let's see. You don't know exactly what to call Summer Rae or Layla, so you take them completely out of the equation. Your faces. You have Natalya. You have Brie. You have Emma. These are your faces for the division. And Naomi, of course. And who are your heels? Eva Marie and Cameron. Okay. And of course, Paige. Yeah. Who are the other challengers? So it makes sense completely for a heel to have this championship, because a heel can work with different people. We can have the match with Naomi. We can have matches with Natalya. We can have matches with Charlotte when she comes in, depending on if she comes in as face or heel. Because obviously Paige and Charlotte have some unfinished business, because they really didn't get to feud in NXT before Paige went to the main roster. So I think that probably will happen when, just like I said in the video, Bayley takes the NXT Women's Championship from Charlotte and sends her to the main roster. But yeah, let's talk about this match, shall we? So AJ climbs the top rope, and Paige is on the floor and nails her with a top rope clothesline to the floor. It looked awesome, by the way. Tosses her in, and she goes for... She kind of went for the Shining Wizard, but she basically just had a knee strike and got a 2 off of that one. So shoves off a straight kick, and the Paige Turner is countered into the Black Widow. Black Widow is countered by Paige into the Rampage, and clean as a sheet, Paige wins the Divas Championship at SummerSlam on her 22nd birthday. So yeah, happy birthday to Paige. She just turned 22 today. So yeah, after the match is over, she picks up AJ after she seductively lays on her. And then she picks her up and she hugs her to her chest and kisses her forehead. And then she skips around with the championship. I love Crazy Paige. And for those of you that have never seen the Rampage before, the vicious cradle DDT that she uses, that my good friend Chance Prophet used to use as a finisher, yeah, and probably still does to this day, actually. I haven't seen Chance work in quite a while, but yeah, my friend Chance Prophet used to use it as a finisher if he doesn't still do that. But yeah, the Rampage is a devastating move, and it looked vicious as all get out. And I love the finishing sequence of this match, because it looked like that AJ was going to tap Paige out clear as day, but it got countered, and the counter back into her own finisher, and it was awesome. So Paige Turner to the Black Widow to the Rampage, and 1, 2, 3. So the Rampage should be the move that Paige uses more often, because she hits it clean as a sheet. The Paige Turner is hit or miss, and most of the time it's a miss. I don't know why this move is so hard to take, but I guess that it just is. I've never taken a Paige Turner or a lightning spiral or anything like that before, but I mean, it just seems like it doesn't work half the time. Even with someone like AJ, I mean, she landed on her head, it looked awesome, but I mean, still, it doesn't have that oomph it needs to have. It's not as credible as a finisher, so using the Rampage makes perfect sense to me, and I think that's what they'll continue to do. So, WWE next called an audible, or in this case, they basically just didn't tell us everything. The next match was our flag match between Rusev with Lana taking on Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter. Now, I was under the impression that old school flag match rules would apply. A flag match, by definition, is essentially the professional wrestling version of Capture the Flag. For the match, 2 flags are placed on opposite turnbuckles, each representing a specific wrestler or team of wrestlers, and the object of that match is to retrieve the flag and raise it while defending the flag in the corner. Capture the flag. Grab the flag, win. No pinfall needed, no submission needed. Just grab the flag. Simple as that. This was not a flag match. This was an anthem match. And an anthem match is an old school stipulation that basically states the winner of the match gets their national anthem played. Just kind of like an Olympic-style medal celebration. Just don't forget, Rusev has that gold star after all, because just like kindergartners, he lives for gold stars. Now, let's talk about this match, shall we? I hear about this stipulation. I hear the match is a flag match. I'm thinking, okay, I'll bite. Rusev can lose this way. He doesn't have to get pinned. He doesn't have to submit. He doesn't have to actually get anything to lose the match. All Swagger has to do to win is capture the flag. Okay, I'm in. Swagger definitely wins. Then before the match even started, after I already made all my predictions and everything, we find out the actual stipulation of the match is not a flag match, it's an anthem match, and basically that is stating that you have to win the match by pinfall, submission, disqualification, or countout, and once you win, you get your anthem played. Right there, I was thinking, well, Swagger's not winning. And that's exactly what happened. But I did think maybe that could be different because, first off, Swagger comes down with a color guard with another American flag, and they march him down to the ring. Crowd's going nuts for him, obviously. He's a hometown, or a home country hero in this case. Before the bell even sounds, Rusev gets a cheap shot. Swagger ends up muscling him into the Patriot Lock, and before the bell even sounds, Rusev is now at a disadvantage. He's now favoring the ankle. Lana's saying, no match, no match. He attacked him, no match. And the referee's like, forget it, we're going to ring the bell anyway. So they do. And the referee pulls Swagger off Rusev, and then they start the match. So they go back and forth for a while, and then eventually there's a side bear hug applied by Rusev on Swagger. Swagger viciously elbows out, and he goes for the belly-to-belly. Rusev stops it and sends Swagger down. He dive bombs the lower back, of course working on the injured ribs that he's selling from his attack on Monday night with the Russian flag. So he dive bombs the back again, and Rusev gets caught, and belly-to-belly from Swagger. Two big right hands. He charges in, ducks the clothesline, and a big clothesline. Charges in with a knee in the corner, and whip in reverse, big boot from Swagger, and hits the Swagger bomb, 1-2, and Rusev kicks out. So he double legs, going for the Patriot Lock again. Rusev kicks him off, and charges in. He eats the back elbow, and the Muay Thai kick is caught, and a big takedown from Swagger, 1-2, and Rusev kicks out. A big right hand. He whips him in. It gets reversed, and a short arm into a kick straight to the injured ribs by Rusev. He hits the Muay Thai kick, stomps on the spine, goes for the accolade, but his ankle gives out, and he cannot put enough pressure in order to properly apply the camel clutch. So this does not work. Rusev is now at a disadvantage. So he goes for the accolade on one knee, and Swagger ends up pressing up on his fists, and he ends up transitioning into the Patriot Lock. Drags him to the middle. Now, I'm telling you right now, if he went all Kurt Angle and grapevine the legs on the ankle lock, he definitely would have won. But he doesn't, because he doesn't do that, because he's not really Kurt Angle. He basically drags him to the middle, and he tries to drag him to the middle again, but Rusev starts kicking him in the injured ribs. Those taped ribs, obviously, like a giant bullseye on Swagger. So he catches him with a glancing blow on the spinning heel kick. And then a leaping falling headbutt on Swagger. He goes for the accolade, and he's in monstrous pain while he's got the camel clutch applied on Swagger. And Swagger doesn't tap out, he doesn't give up, he passes out. So Rusev wins the match by knockout, basically. He wins the match by ref stoppage, pretty much, because Swagger was unable to continue. So Swagger passed out in the accolade, and that was the end of that. So Swagger didn't get pinned, Swagger didn't submit, so Swagger still looks strong, and they can still do another match between the two of them at Night of Champions, and that'll probably blow the feud off. I would think if this would have been a legitimate flag match, not an anthem match with a different name stipulation, I would have thought that Swagger would definitely win this. But Rusev won, and Rusev has won decisively, so if they're going to end this right now, they can, and they can move Rusev onto different things and Swagger onto different things. But if not, they'll go one more pay-per-view being Night of Champions on my birthday next month, and we blow off the feud there with Swagger maybe finally getting the victory if they want to do that. And if not, they can have Swagger get obliterated, kind of like Cena did earlier, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. And Rusev can move on to bigger and better things, i.e. potentially John Cena, or even Roman Reigns to get him ready for his showdown with Bork Laser. So yes. So after the match is over, before the celebration takes place, Rusev actually does something that he has not done the whole storyline, and has not been done to Zeb Coulter ever since he started being a manager again. He actually took a bump. He actually kicked Zeb Coulter. And he didn't put him in the accolade or anything, he just kicked Coulter, and of course Lana and Rusev stood there proud as the Russian national anthem played, and the flag of Russia was draped above the ring. Fans were booing the crap out of it, and Rusev was standing tall. This worked in that way because Rusev needs to look dominant, and Rusev has been dominant. So if this is the end of the feud, I wouldn't be surprised. If it goes one more month, I can understand because Swagger didn't submit, Swagger didn't give up, Swagger basically had the match stopped by the referee. So, yeah, and that's something we thought we were going to see. Actually, we didn't think we were going to see, but could have happened later on in the show, but didn't. But we'll talk about that as we progress in that. So we get our next match. It is our Lumberjack match. It is Mr. Money in the Bank Seth Rollins taking on Dean Ambrose, and the Lumberjacks are all former victims of the Shield, plus Stardust. I guess it counts that Cody Rhodes was a victim of the Shield, so I guess that's the way of thinking we're looking at. Your Lumberjacks: Goldust, Stardust, Cesaro, Titus O'Neil, Heath Slater, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Curtis Axel, Ryback, R-Truth, Rob Van Dam, Damian Sandow wearing plaid and looking like a golf caddy, Fandango, Kofi Kingston, Big E, not standing near each other, of course. They're on opposite sides of the ring, because obviously this new stable's not going to happen. Sin Cara and Bo Dallas. So, midway through the match, Ambrose is actually goes for a suplex on Seth Rollins and superplexes him from the floor to the floor on all the Lumberjacks. So the Lumberjacks separate him. Rollins gets backdropped over the barricade in Justin Roberts land, and the Lumberjacks toss Ambrose in. So Ambrose walks on both, and in this case, all three announce tables, and nails Rollins when he is now going into the crowd. So he tosses Bo over, he tosses Kofi over, Ambrose grabs Rollins, and they fight in the crowd. So they fight up the ring steps, and then they fight up into the crowd, actually fighting up into the crowd section. So Kane walks out, and of course he sends the Lumberjacks to do their job and get them both back in the ring. So Ambrose has set up Dirty Deeds up high above the arena and off the railing, and of course that's not going to happen because the Lumberjacks come in and they stop it. So a suplex is blocked, and he goes for a power bomb, and it gets stopped, and the Lumberjacks drag Ambrose back. They literally pick him up and drag him back. So Rollins attacks Sin Cara. Hello. This happens when you drop your notes, folks. Seth goes to leave, and he walks right into the Usos, Stardust, and Big E. Kofi Kingston and Goldust join the group, and they all crowd surf Seth Rollins to the back, towards the ring, and Ambrose dives on everybody. Tosses him in, goes for Dirty Deeds, gets tossed off, and the leaping kick connects to the Jawbreaker Lariat, real-time Jawbreaker Lariat, just basically flipped him inside out, spun him like a top here, made him do a complete backflip, land on his face, looked awesome. So he gets 1, 2, Rollins kicks out. So he comes off the ropes, and he curb stomps Seth Rollins. 1, 2, and Kane hits the ring. Goldust eats a right hand. Stardust comes in and charges at Eric Rowan, of all people. And everybody gets in the ring, and everyone brawls, and it gets down to the Wyatt family left in the ring with Dean Ambrose, and of course, Harper charges. He gets low bridged over the top, and Ambrose clotheslines Eric Rowan over the top. This allowed so much distraction for Seth Rollins to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase and plaster Dean Ambrose in the face with it. 1, 2, 3, and Seth Rollins wins the match. A really wildly chaotic match between these two, and actually utilized the Lumberjack stipulation a lot better than I've ever seen it used before. Now, I've seen Lumberjacks with straps before, but Lumberjacks that were literally told to go anywhere, and it doesn't matter if it was ringside or if it was in the crowd, go anywhere possible that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose went to make sure they got back in the ring, took their jobs way too seriously. Never seen that in a Lumberjack match before, and probably never will again. But yeah, this match worked out really well. And I do think that the Money in the Bank briefcase is on the line at Night of Champions, but I don't know exactly how we're going to get to it. I think that they're going to set something up where Ambrose ends up godding Rollins in a rematch, and he basically has a false sense of security. He's like, you know what, I beat you before, fine. You want another match? That's great. And he's like, you know what, I'm feeling lucky. How about you put that briefcase on the line? He's like, Rollins like, sure, no problem, I don't care. I was like, how about we do it in a ladder match? And I was like, okay, that's fine. So we get Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins at Night of Champions in a ladder match with a briefcase high above the ring. And I think that's exactly what we do. And then, you know, they could always put Ambrose over. And then Ambrose takes the briefcase and Rollins could be the one that tries to make sure Ambrose doesn't cash in. Even though Ambrose is not going to be able to cash in because we're going to have a WWE World Heavyweight Champion that is not going to be anywhere in the buildings when Raw and SmackDown are on. He'll be there tonight, but that's about it. So, yeah, really great chaotic match. I enjoyed the finish of the match. The Jawbreaker Lariat connected in the best Nigel McGuinness way ever in this match, so it was awesome. So, we pick up our next match. And it is Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho. So, basically, this match has a lot to live up to, given the fact the Battleground match was very lackluster according to everyone, and the crowd was not as big into Bray Wyatt in this as you would think they would be. They were a lot on Chris Jericho's side, and I can understand that. So Bray with a knee lift, and he sticks his tongue out of Jericho. He tosses him into the ropes, and he ducks his head. Jericho kicks him in the face, 2 chops, whips him in, it gets reversed, and Jericho catches him with a flying forearm off the ropes, hits the enziguri kick, and 1 count only, Bray kicks out. So he charges in, he gets backdropped over the top rope, lands on the ring apron, he goes up top, he leapfrogs over Bray, and a clothesline and a leaping back senton connects on Jericho, 1-2, and a kick out. Bray with an overhand right, charges in with a forearm in the corner, and he charges in with the avalanche, but before he can actually explode with the avalanche, Jericho does the exploding and drop kick to Bray right in the button, 1-2, and Bray kicks out. So, a kick to the ribs, and then straight to the face by Jericho. He gets caught, big time Uranagi on Chris Jericho, 1-2, and a kick out. So he mounts him, and he starts raining down the forearms, and then he goes upside down, and he goes for Sister Abigail. Jericho counters with a schoolboy 1-2 and a kick out. So he goes for the walls, it gets stopped with punches, and Jericho finally muscles him over into the walls, and Wyatt presses up and crawls to the ropes, calling for the break. So he pulls Jericho to the floor, and he DDTs him on the ring apron for good measure, rolls him back in, dead weight, 1-2, Jericho still manages to kick out. So he headbutts Jericho, and he drags him to the corner, and he goes to the middle rope, and he gets caught by Jericho, and Jericho climbs up with punches, top rope Hurricane Rana on Bray Wyatt, and 1-2, Bray kicks out. So Jericho with a running clothesline in the corner, and he whips him in, reverse, Jericho tip up and over, and he comes off the ropes, ducks the clothesline, and Jericho with a front drop kick on Bray. So Bray gets up and, of course, does his crab walk, his exorcist crab walk, but he doesn't walk. He basically just presses up and he's upside down staring at Jericho, and he says, "I cannot die because I am already dead." Just chilling stuff. So Jericho ducks Bray's clothesline, and Jericho nails him with a code breaker. 1-2, Bray's foot's under the bottom ropes. The referee sees that, calls for the breaking of the count. Makes perfect sense. So he kicks Bray to the floor, and he goes for the baseball slide drop kick. Jericho gets Rob Petrie sidestepped, and for those of you non-Dick Van Dyke Show fans, and this allows for Bray to utilize the thumb to the throat, the old Umaga spike, and basically thumbs Jericho right here in the chest. Not in the throat, he hits him right up here at the top of the chest. So Jericho's sucking wind at this point, and he allows him to hit Sister Abigail into the barricade, which looks vicious as all get out. He picks Jericho up like a small child, deposits him in the ring. He picks Jericho up for Sister Abigail, he says, "This is the end," and he nails it after the kiss of death. 1-2-3, Bray Wyatt defeats Chris Jericho and wins this pretty good match, actually. It was alright for what it was. I mean, I liked their match in NXT they had a long time ago. Their match at Battleground was left to be desired, but this match actually worked pretty well. It told a decent story in the ring, and I think we lead to one more match in Night of Champions. Bray Wyatt injures Chris Jericho, takes him out of WWE for the foreseeable future, and moves on to bigger and better things. So that's what I'm thinking right now is probably going to happen. After the match is over, he gets on the mic, he says, "Poor Chris Jericho, I guess after all, he did find out what it meant to follow the buzzards," and he sings he's got the whole world in his hands with the lights out, one spotlight, and the fireflies around the entire arena with their cell phones out, and they are lighting up the light for Bray Wyatt. good back and forth match. I enjoyed this. So, we get our next match. It is Stephanie McMahon against Brie Bella, and everything aside from the horrible atrocity that was last Monday night, this storyline's been built up rather well, and it's actually gotten the WWE Universe to actually care about two divas again. And I was interested to see exactly how this match was going to get put on, especially when I found out this match was probably going to go about 12 minutes. At least that's what it said it was going to go. So I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. So, I thought this would be the semi-main. It wasn't, actually. It wasn't the semi-main. This match was actually the second to last, the third from the end. So, it was like this match, then Roman and Orton, and then Brock and Cena. So, yeah. Real quick, before we get started, I should have mentioned something about Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho that I did not mention. I thought it was kind of funny, actually. Before I started writing, Bray had a chokehold on Jericho. And Jericho was trying to get the fans into it, so he started slapping his arm and slapping his arm. So basically, before the match even was over, Jericho tapped out like 30 times. So yeah, there's always that. Anyway, back to this match. So Brie comes out, and she's not wearing her Yes Kick pads like she did on Raw when she didn't even have her match. She is basically wearing black and red, the official colors of the Bella Twins, apparently. Sure. And Stephanie comes out looking like, well, I'll be honest with you. I tweeted that she looks like a dominatrix, basically. I'm not gonna lie, completely. She looked like China, straight up. Like, she was dressed like China. I basically tweeted 50 Shades of Helmsley, so yeah, that's what it looked like. She looked nice, I'm not gonna lie. Brie looked nice, like she always does, but still, she looked nice in the gear. I like the black gear, it worked for her. But yeah, this was going to have a lot to live up to, especially with the fact that this has been the main event storyline on Raw several times. Actually, 2 times they actually had the main event storyline on Raw, so this had a lot to live up to, and there was a lot of expectations on the line for this match. Given the fact we haven't seen Stephanie McMahon in a long time in an actual wrestling match, so we'll be interested to see where we go from here. So we go midway through the match. Stephanie with a DDT gets a 2 on Brie, and a short arm into a clothesline, and grabs her hair and just drags her around, saying, "Who's my bitch?" So yeah, this is not PG, folks. So Brie, of course, is seated and she's kind of slumped over, and Stephanie hits a Mr. Perfect style somersault neck snap, which looked awesome, and got a 2 count off of that. Locks in an inverted surfboard with her foot planted not against the shoulder blades, but actually on the back of the neck, so adding more insult to injury there. And she pulls her back and steps on Brie's face, goes back to the inverted surfboard, back to the boot in the back of the neck, and again, when Brie gets up, she gets pulled back to the canvas. So a back kick ends up knocking Stephanie away. It's like Dana Bryan style back kick when, of course, the guy or girl was trying to... the guy would try to pick Bryan up. Bryan would straight kick him in the back. A back kick him in the top of the head. That's what Brie did to Stephanie. Charges in, does Stephanie, eats the Thez press, and they start fighting. Basically, Brie with the reins down the punches. Gets tossed off by Stephanie, charges in, eats the back elbow. So Brie hits the yes kicks in the corner, and Hair Mare Steph out of the corner. Drags her to the opposite corner, and the yes kicks again to Stephanie, and Hair Mare once more on Stephanie. Brie goes to the middle rope, going for Brie mode, and does connect with the missile drop kick, 1-2, and a kick out. Brie tries to drag Steph back, and ends up bringing her back in the hard way. So Triple H comes out, and here comes Nikki Bella. You knew what was going to happen right here. Stephanie with a boot, goes for a pedigree, and it's countered into the Mabry lock, and Triple H ends up pulling the ref, who was halfway out of the ring anyway, and he pulls the ref, so he comes off the ropes, and Brie with a baseball slide drop kick on Triple H, and Triple H bumped for it, so that was really awesome. So she starts doing the yes above Hunter, and Nikki gets in the ring and helps stop Stephanie. I got ahead of myself. Stop Stephanie from getting away. And of course, Stephanie's backing up, and eventually she realized she's backed into Brie. So the Bellas have Stephanie in the middle, and Nikki shoves Stephanie away and nails Brie in the heel turn that everyone knew was coming, but no one wanted to see. Helps Stephanie up, bombs out, Stephanie hits the pedigree, and that's the end. So Stephanie wins with help from Nikki Bella turning heel. So yeah, I think we have Brie and Nikki coming for Night of Champions. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the match we're going to go with. Do I think Brie gets her revenge on Stephanie eventually? I definitely do. What I think will probably happen, I think if Brie wants another match with Stephanie, Stephanie puts the gauntlet down saying that, okay, if you want to face me one more time, I'll give you your match. I'll give you your match at Hell in a Cell. But in order to do so, you have to beat your sister. So we do that match. We do Brie versus Nikki with the stipulation that if Brie wins, she gets to face Stephanie one more time in either Hell in a Cell or the Survivor Series or TLC, one of the 3 pay-per-views before the year is over. I don't think they should push this to the Rumble. Because obviously Total Divas starts, I believe, in October, so yeah, you obviously have to sell that storyline, so who knows where we're going to go with this. Semi-main event, Roman Reigns sporting new gear. It's blue-tinged of the same stuff he was been wearing. Facing Randy Orton, so yes, we'll pick it up midway through the match. Orton tosses Reigns to the middle rope to the floor, and he goes for the backdrop suplex on the table. Of course, the table doesn't break. He whips him into the ring steps, and he goes shoulder first in. So he tosses him in, and Orton tries to capitalize, and a nice neck snap from Roman Reigns stops that momentum. Slams him face first to the top turnbuckle, and he's draped across the top turnbuckle. So he climbs up, he goes for the superplex, he punches himself up, he punches out, headbutts him off, and a right hand to Orton. He drapes him, which drapes him across the turnbuckle. So he picks him up and hits a Samoan drop off the top rope, on a rope, from Roman Reigns onto Randy Orton, 1-2, and Orton kicks out. So he goes for the Superman punch. It does connect. Charges in for the spear, eats a Samoa Joe style snap power slam, 1-2, and Reigns kicks out. Orton sets up for the snake bite, it connects, goes for the RKO, gets tossed off, ducks his own clothesline, and Roman, going for the spear, gets RKO'd, 1-2, and Roman kicks out. So he's going for the punt kick, and of course, he gets swatted away, and ducks the clothesline off the ropes, comes off, spear, 1-2-3, Roman Reigns wins. Methodical match, not a fast-paced match, very slow match, but it built a good storyline. Didn't really impress me, but then again, sure. Roman Reigns is definitely going to be the future, whether we want him to be or not. I just don't think it's ready yet. The match against Orton, it was alright. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Orton actually brought his working boots, and a lot of people said that he was kind of sandbagging the house show matches, and they were not the greatest. But apparently last night, or 2 nights ago, Saturday night, they actually did a house show match that the fans were really happy with, and it was like match of the night. So this was a lot better than their previous encounters, a lot better than most of the Roman Reigns matches I've seen lately. It was alright for what it was. It built a crescendo. It got the fans into it. Fans popped for the finish. That's all that mattered. So let's talk about the main event, shall we? There's a lot to talk about here. Big fight field of this match. John Cena defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman in his corner. And by the way, whether you are a Paul Heyman fan or not, I implore you to find a way to check out, ladies and gentlemen, My Name is Paul Heyman. It is an amazing documentary on the career of Paul Heyman, and if you are a fan or not, you might be after this is over. I'm sure Will's not, because I definitely know Will has his mindset on what he thinks about Paul Heyman, but that's because he's an Undertaker fan. I can understand that. But yes, if you are a fan of Paul Heyman, you will love this documentary. Definitely talking about his career in AWA and WCW and ECW and now in the WWE. So yes, check that out as soon as you can. Also talks about his OVW stint when he was the booker at OVW. So yeah, check that out. Now, this match starts 30 seconds in. Cena gets hit with the F5. 1-2, kicks out. And then this just becomes like fun time. This basically becomes Brock Lesnar just ragdolling John Cena for 10 minutes. So Cena ends up hitting a desperation AA. 1-2, Brock kicks out. Brock is down and out. He sets up like The Undertaker, sticks his tongue out at Cena, gets up and starts doing the Brock Lesnar side-to-side dance. So Cena double legs him. Well, actually, he gets double legged, mounted punches. Cena's trying to cover up because he's in the Gracie guard here, basically. So Lesnar rains down repeated punches and 4 rolling German suplexes with the release at the end. Screams die at John Cena. Then hits another 3 rolling German suplexes. So that's 7 right there. And in this match, there was 16 released German suplexes hit by Brock Lesnar. And every single time, he would go to Charles Robinson and say to John Cena if he wanted to stop the match. Like, say, Robinson basically, Heyman was just screaming out, was like, you know what, Charles Robinson, stop this match. It's over. It's over. And, like, Heyman's like, he's going to kill him. And that's what's going to happen. And Cena's just going to stand there and take it because he's not going to give up. So, at one point, Cena actually picks the leg, hits the drop toe hold, and gets the STF. Well, Lesnar escapes, punches Cena in the face, ends up picking up Cena like a rag doll, hits the F5, 1, 2, 3, and Brock Lesnar, rather decisively, is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think Seth Rollins is going to keep that briefcase in his hands for quite a while. Yeah. So the era of Brock Lesnar has begun. Sorry, Will. So yes, this was a complete obliteration of John Cena. This is the match that John Cena haters have been wanting to see forever. The Super Cena of old. I guess Jimmy Cordero said on Twitter the best, former WWE referee and former member of Aftermath in Canada, basically said that this match right here, if John Cena is Superman, apparently Brock Lesnar is now Doomsday, because we have found the solution to Super Cena, and that is Brock Lesnar. And I have never seen John Cena manhandled so much in this match. And this isn't hyperbole. This is honestly the fact. This match, without any doubt, was pretty much a one-sided squash. There were a few hope spots in the match. The AA out of nowhere, the STF out of nowhere, that was it. The rest of it was pure Brock Lesnar and pure nothing but suplexing John Cena over and over again. And with the billion suplexes and Rusev with the camel clutch, I'm sure the Iron Sheik certainly enjoyed himself watching the broadcast tonight. There's a lot of people made humble this evening. So yes, this match was just, this wasn't a wrestling match. This was just the destruction of John Cena. Anybody that is a John Cena fan obviously is pretty depressed right now. And you can tell because they, off the camera, as always, showed the most depressed and absolutely angry fans whenever Brock Lesnar hit that F5, got the pin on John Cena. And I'll call right now for Cena right now. I will say something for this match. Cena, at the end of the day, say what you want about him, he did business the right way here. He put over Brock Lesnar, and that's exactly what everyone was thinking that he may or may not do. That's why there was a tinge of thought in all of our minds that Cena may just pull the politics card and say, you know what, I'm not putting the kid over. It's not going to happen. But Cena did business the right way, and that's how you're supposed to do it in the wrestling industry. So, yeah, kudos to Cena for actually playing ball the way he was supposed to and not thinking about himself. Say what you want about John Cena, he actually knows how to put people over. It's just sometimes it takes a while. But yeah, this match was just John Cena just getting the daylights beat out of him over and over again. And for you Cena haters out there, I'm sure you loved every single solitary minute of this. Every single time that Brock would waistlock John Cena and throw him over his head with that released German suplex, and he landed on his head, he landed on his shoulder. Everybody was going nuts for this. This also, if you could watch the crowd, some of the crowd was actually starting to turn slightly and starting to develop some sympathy for Cena. And others in the crowd just wanted to see Cena just get completely destroyed right then and there. But Cena didn't get stretchered out or anything like that. Brock didn't put him in the Kimura and break his arm or anything like that. No, this was just a straight fight. And this was a fight that basically was Lesnar's win from the beginning. And I feel like I'm calling a UFC fight right now because this match was just John Cena just taking a beating, and I don't know if we'll see Cena on Raw tonight. I know he's doing another movie soon, but I don't know if we're going to see Cena on Raw tonight. I know Ambrose is actually doing a WWE film soon, so he's going to be off television for a bit soon. So we've got that to look at, so there's always that. But Cena may not be on Raw tonight. I don't know. It could happen. I think that's a smart move if they take him off Raw tonight so they can sell how vicious of a beating. Don't forget, we haven't seen The Undertaker since WrestleMania. And don't forget what happened to him. So yeah, John Cena took an even bigger beating. So yes, I think with the way Cena works, I think it'll be at least 2 weeks before we see Cena again. We won't see Cena again until September is my guess. And that's the right direction to go. You don't have Cena pop back up and say, you know what, I took all your best shots, but you didn't keep me down. and I'm going to take it to you, and I want to issue a challenge to Night of Champions. I want my rematch, and I want it then. So, who knows what we're going to get from this. But yes, we have a WWE World Heavyweight Champion that is not going to be on every show. This is going to be just like in the old days, because in the old days, you didn't see Hulk Hogan on Superstars, and you didn't see Ric Flair 605 on TBS. No, these were actually special attractions when you saw the World Heavyweight Champion, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And Paul Heyman's going to talk you all in the door like he always does every single time. Paul Heyman will put the butts in the seats every single time, and regardless if there's going to be matches every month or not, which there's not going to be, when Lesnar does fight, it's going to be with purpose, and it's going to be for a reason. And now we've figured out the John Cena kryptonite has now come in the form of Brock Lesnar, just like everyone thought it would. And this was just a straight fight, a straight one-sided beating, with Cena getting 2 hope spots, the AA, which basically did nothing but just piss Lesnar off and get him to sit up like The Undertaker and start doing a side-to-side dance, and made me laugh a bit. And the STF, which was not enough to finish Lesnar, and Lesnar still fought out of it, and still F5 Cena, and that was the end. So yes, this was a complete destruction of John Cena, and for fans of John Cena, don't worry, eventually Cena will get his revenge. I'm sure it'll happen, I guarantee it'll happen, but I don't know when it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a long time before Brock Lesnar drops the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Do I think he keeps it to WrestleMania 31? I don't think so at this point. I think there could be a time where Lesnar could drop it in the meantime. Maybe Lesnar drops it at the Rumble, potentially. We could do that. And they could go in that direction. But I don't know. Lesnar could keep the championship to WrestleMania, which means we could have the rest of the year, up until April next year, of Brock Lesnar being a champion who basically will probably only have, at most, maybe 2 defenses. I say Lesnar defends... He could defend a Night of Champions in a rematch against Cena, which makes sense. Other than that, your next times you probably will see Lesnar are Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. You know, the original Big 4. Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and WrestleMania. So yeah, I think that's the next time you see Brock. If you don't see Lesnar at Night of Champions, which I'm pretty sure you will, because Night of Champions is a big deal for WWE because it's not a throwaway pay-per-view this year. This pay-per-view on my birthday this year is basically being utilized to get people to resubscribe to the WWE Network. For how much? $9.99. So yes, that is going to make Night of Champions a very packed event because they know they have to pack it, because obviously if they don't, fans will not want to resubscribe to the WWE Network, and WWE will lose a lot of revenue that way. So even with them opening up to most of the world now, and of course you're not going to get in the UK until I believe October 1st, so yes, by the 1st of October we'll start to see if WWE can get that million buys they've been trying for. And if they can, then kudos. If not, then let's go back to the drawing board maybe? So yes, I will say right now that Night of Champions is imperative that Brock Lesnar is at. So we have Lesnar and Cena rematch at Night of Champions. I'm thinking Bray Wyatt, Jericho rematch at Night of Champions. I think AJ and Paige rematch at Night of Champions. And they could do Ambrose and Rollins. Actually, they will do Ambrose and Rollins rematch at Night of Champions. So there'll be a lot of rematches at Night of Champions. I'm thinking that. And potentially, we could have some sort of a tag match, tag team title defense from the Usos tonight on Raw. So I don't know where we're going to go with that. Obviously, this Big Show and Mark Henry team isn't going anywhere, so that's going to be a new challenger that's into the mix. And I think the Ascension are on the main roster by the time 2014 is over, so that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking they will be pushed towards the Tag Team Championships really quickly, too. That feud with the Wyatt family writes itself. So that's what we had here. SummerSlam was a very successful event, very awesome show. I really enjoyed myself. Matches I would definitely say recommend. Cesaro and Van Dam was good. Dolph and The Miz was good. Paige and AJ was short, but what it was good. Swagger and Rusev was fine. Rollins and Ambrose was just chaotic and insane. I enjoyed every second of it. And, you know, I'll state right now, Jericho and Wyatt was kind of so-so, but it was alright. It was good for what it was. Stephanie and Brie wasn't a letdown as much as it could have been, but Nikki going heel, I mean, I'm not really sure I understand why. I get why, but I don't like it. Reigns and Orton, they kind of went through, they plotted through for a bit, but once they picked up at the end, it actually worked really well. Nice finishing sequence, I like that. and Lesnar just beat the holy daylights out of John Cena and just left him laying, not in a pool of blood, urine, and vomit. No, not at all. There was no blood in this match, surprisingly. I would think at least one point Lesnar would have busted open Cena hard way, but no blood in this match. This was just a real fight with no blood. So yes, Cena is definitely going to be in severe pain by sometime this morning. So yeah, there's always that. But that's what we have for SummerSlam. Definite recommendation. Check it out. If you have the WWE Network and you didn't get a chance to watch it because you worked or had other plans, be my guest right now. Go to the WWE Network and rewatch SummerSlam. Definitely worth watching. If you hate John Cena, watch Brock Lesnar beat the crap out of him. It'll be very enjoyable. Other than that, just check out all the other matches. A really enjoyable show, and it's interesting to see where we go from Raw tonight. So, I don't know where we're going from here, but it's going to be interesting to see where we go as we go on the road to Night of Champions, which is on my birthday this year, September 21st. So, yes. And for those of you that are wondering, Night of Champions may or may not have a recap. I don't know. It just kind of depends. I will be at Halloween Horror Nights the night before. The night of is my birthday. I'm hanging out with Joe, and it depends on how the situation works out with that. And I'm guessing I'm going over to Hollywood Studios that night for Frozen Fireworks, but I probably will be able to watch the event somewhere in that week whenever I have some downtime from the parks. When the parks are closed, I will throw out my notepad and I'll shoot you guys out a video talking about Night of Champions. I don't know what the wrestling recaps are going to be like. Just like usually with September trips and December trips, I'll probably forego the wrestling recaps and just bring them back when I come back in October. So that's probably what I'll do. So I'll probably take those months off. But no worries, I'll let you know if that does happen. It probably will, so that's a little heads up right there. So wrestling fans, join me tomorrow for Raw. And Wednesday, it looks like we're going to get AJ's movie reviews. It's going to be talking about The Giver and Boyhood with 4 other films. And Thursday, we're going to talk TNA Impact. And of course, Impact moves to Wednesdays. So I might start doing Impact Live like I do Raw. And that's the only thing I do live, except for the pay-per-views. So there's always that. And new Halloween Horror Nights information coming very soon. Once we get our final announcement for our Final Maids in Orlando, I will shoot that video out, and then we'll talk about that event in full. And then I have one more awesome statement video I wanted to decrypt for you guys whenever I get a chance. So, wrestling fans, you will join in the great wrestling recaps that are coming, and of course we continue on the road to Night of Champions. So in the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook, click like on that Facebook fan page. It is Suro and Disney Pop on Facebook. If you'd like to send me a friend request on Facebook, go right ahead. Let me know you're a fan of this channel. Let me know you enjoy the wrestling recaps or Disney, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights. Any of the content on this channel, let me know you like it by sending me a message to my Facebook account, which is Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, go right ahead. It is at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk about SummerSlam with me, and you want to talk wrestling with me, whether it's WWE or TNA, my former wrestling career, we talk about that. Ask me questions if you'd like. You want to become a podcaster yourself, send your content and all that information to my email, SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I hope you guys and girls out there enjoyed SummerSlam. I hope you enjoy Raw tonight. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.